We're in danger of losing our nation. We've never been in a situation where there was a greater danger to our republic. The founders warned very clearly, over and over, about beware of foreign entanglements. President Kennedy, let us not forget, declined to assent to Israel's desire to become a nuclear power. And the consequences we're familiar with, what happened to our President Kennedy. Israel, which had the sympathy of the world at one point, has just, in the name of predatory and expansive Zionism, has just decided that they're going to ignore world opinion, ignore every moral law that exists. It is insane, and the world needs to respond.
Welcome to today's episode, which is a special new Down the Rabbit Hole episode, part of Decentralized TV that has a little bit different format. So Todd, tell us about, what does it mean when we have a Down the Rabbit Hole episode?
It means it's an episode that isn't necessarily dedicated to decentralized living, but man, oh man, is the guest interesting. And, you know, we needed to create a category to where that we could keep everyone interested in. And I'm just excited as heck. This is going to be fun because now we can, break out of the just decentralized living and bring a lot of guests and topics and ideas to the table that I think people are going to love.
Yeah, well said. I would also add that this interview may not be as practical as what we normally do. And also, as a disclaimer, there may be points that are presented that Todd and I don't agree with, and that's totally okay. But we think overall, the content is worth your time and attention to consider. So enjoy this episode of Decentralized TV, Down the Rabbit Hole. Welcome to today's interview here on Decentralized TV. And wow, we have a fantastic guest for you here today, who is, I think, one of the most courageous voices of truly independent thinking, a former congressman who was recently on with Tucker Carlson, and someone who I consider, and Tucker even said, talked about what an extraordinary American and human being our guest is. And I'll tease you with that. He's coming up here shortly. But let me bring in Todd Pittner, who's also extraordinary, and my co-host. Welcome, Todd. Great to have
Mike,
you.
how are you? How are you? I tell you what,
great.
This guest that we have today is going to blow your mind, especially with all the research that he's done on U.S.rail, which
oh, is that the one combined conglomerate now? Is that what that is?
U.S.rail. I think it's perfect for the topic today.
Well, let me set the context, and we'll bring him in. But see, we believe in decentralization, which also means that at the national level, we believe in national sovereignty. At the state level, we believe in state sovereignty. At the individual level, we believe in individual liberties and sovereignty. It's layered.
Yeah.
But when our nation is controlled by another nation, that is not decentralized.
No.
So you want to go ahead with the intro and the question, Todd?
Sure. Well, have we brought in our guest?
No, let's bring him in. Welcome, Congressman Dennis Kucinich. It's an honor to have you on, sir.
Todd and Mike, thanks so much. I think it was about a year ago that we talked, and what a year this has been. And there's so much to cover right here. And I want to thank both of you for this opportunity to engage in a discussion with you. I'm wearing glasses right now. I usually don't wear them, but I've written some notes in such fine hand that I want to make sure I don't miss them.
You look great. You've been traveling, I know, and you're in different time zones and everything. It's difficult to do all that. So we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. And Todd has a great lead-off question for you.
Yeah, I do. Dennis, thank you for being with us. I miss the good old days when a foreign military actually had to invade us before gaining access to our defense infrastructure. Dennis, you recently warned that Congress may be quietly approving what amounts to a partial merger of the American and Israeli militaries. What precisely would Section 219 authorize, and where does legitimate cooperation between allies become a surrender of American sovereignty?
Well, first of all, Todd, let me just state that if you want to have a formal relationship with another country, there is a process. It's called a treaty, and that has to go to the United States Senate. So there is a sense in which this attempt to use Section 219 of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2027 for the purposes of creating a closer connection with the state of Israel, that it's unconstitutional. Now, and what this legislation does, and by now there are many people aware of it, it creates an integration between the United States and the Israeli military that effectively is a merger of the most sensitive areas in our tech areas, and that would actually, it would actually increase. This bill would actually increase our intelligence risk. Intel is already, U.S. intel agencies have already said, "Whoa, wait a minute, we don't want to get in this deep with Israel," particularly when Israel's giving us wrong information. Israel misled the United States, telling them, no problem, go and attack Iran, you'll knock their government off, and we'll live happily ever after. Well, that didn't happen. It's not going to happen. And the resilience that Iran has shown and the U.S. miscalculation as a result of being coaxed by Israel into this war has made of Iran a recognized regional power and has caused the United States to have to essentially retreat from the region.
That's true.
Is extraordinary. And this is one of the things that Israel has to take, the U.S. is ultimately responsible, but this is Israel pushing the U.S. And right now, this kind of a tech merger, let's think about the context, Todd. This tech merger is occurring during a genocide, during ethnic cleansing, during religious warfare, and while leading the U.S. into war. And this has happened before. I had Netanyahu sitting across from me when I was a member of Congress of the Government Oversight Committee, in which I eventually became a chair of a subcommittee. And he was promoting the war in Iraq, and he was promoting a war against Libya, and he was promoting a war against Iran 24 years ago. And so this is and he constantly beating the drum. Oh, they've got nuclear weapons. They're going to, weapons of mass destruction, boom, boom, boom. Was all fake, all lies. And he cannot, he's an inveterate liar. And he has caused the U.S. to spend trillions of dollars on his fantasies. And the U.S. has been not just a sucker, but we've gone against the interest of our own people. And finally, to come back to you with a follow-up question, finally, you have this element of AIPAC, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, which has no problem at all spending $30 million to try to knock out Tom Massey, to try to spend, one estimate, $70 million to defeat Abdul El-Sayed in Michigan's primary. They have corrupted the American political process. So you have what Israel's doing in front of our eyes, the corruption behind the scenes in the U.S. Congress, which is now, full blown and recognized. And then you have this legislation, which is like a capstone on a takeover.
Well, if Section 219 becomes law, what will Americans discover 5 years from now that Congress either failed to understand or deliberately refused to discuss?
Well, they're going to discover that a treason occurred against the people of the United States. I mean, it's very good that, the House of Representatives unfortunately narrowly passed this bill, which contains Section 219. It's now before the Senate. It's blocked in the Senate. Why is it blocked in the Senate? I mean, as we speak, it is blocked in the Senate, and it may not move anytime soon. And here's why. One of the reasons is this, with the House version of Section 219, has a different section number in the Senate, but it's more than that. This $1.5 trillion bill for war is going to take about 80% of discretionary spending. There are senators who are saying, what are we doing here? The president promised no more wars, and he comes in and he changes the name of defense to Department of War, puts forth a budget that is a 67% increase over the previous year's budget, transits the spending from domestic priorities into war. And the Iran war right now, by some accounts, could approach $1 trillion in expenses. And there's already concerns, as we all know, that the Strait of Hormuz may be closed for quite some time, as with the Bab el-Mandab, which is the Yemen side, which provides for transit for other countries to go and ship the oil out. We could see a 40% disruption in oil transit to the world, which will affect markets, which will affect the economy, and which will put us in a position of having weakened our national security. Right. So this is just astonishing, but there's even more.
Well, Dennis, let me jump in here about the merger with Israeli intelligence on this. Of course, you know, as the founder of the show here, I care about us, you know, achieving decentralization, which is as much as possible, you know, maintaining as a nation, maintaining our own rights, you know, our own sovereignty. And if we were going to merge with any other country in the world, which I would be against, seems like the most wrong choice, or arguably a horrible choice, would be Israel, given the history of Jonathan Pollard and the theft of military secrets and intelligence secrets that were then funneled from the U.S. to Israel illegally, criminally, and Pollard was convicted. And he was a spy serving Israel. Well, why would we then hand over voluntarily? I mean, basically, what this law would do is legalize Jonathan Pollard's spying operation on our country at a much larger scale, wouldn't it?
You have succinctly summarized one of the major contradictions here. But if someone has stolen our secrets, what does it say about us if we just want to give them away?
Right.
You don't have to steal anymore. Here they are on a silver platter. And it also needs to be mentioned and must never be forgotten. The 34 sailors who were on the USS Liberty, who were deliberately bombed in an attack by Israel's Air Force. That's right. Which the United States has never fessed up to about looking the other way. Well, Israel killed, members of the U.S. Navy. So this relationship is a relationship that has outlived any usefulness it could have possibly had. It is time for the United States to separate itself, to assume the integrity of sovereignty, to insist that we stand alone as the United States of America. And if we need at any point to build alliances going forward, we do that on a case-by-case basis. No permanent friends, no permanent enemies, permanent interests for the United States
Correct.
of America.
Amen.
And the recognition that other nations have their own interests and their own sovereignty, and that they have the right to choose who they want to sell to or buy from. You know, this thing where Trump runs around the world yelling at India or Turkey or China and demanding, you can't buy oil from Russia, like, wait a second, or from Iran, or you can't buy semiconductors from Europe. It's like, wait, what? Who put you in charge of the whole world?
Well, what this has led to, you're right, Mike, and what this has led to is the rise of a trading bloc with Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, where there's a de-dollarization going on.
Yes.
Where,
BRICS.
where oil, instead of being denominated in dollars, is being increasingly denominated in Chinese yuan. So, and let us not forget that the elasticity of the U.S. economy has always depended on dollarization. And so this is a nightmare because our ability to grow economically is being stunted. Our ability to protect our own national security. Look, we've run out of missiles.
Yeah.
And how and why? Because we've handed it all over to Israel so that they could defend themselves against an attack that was a counterstrike as a result of what happened on February 28th. We killed their leader, Khomeini.
Yeah.
We killed 168 people, most of them school children, in Manab on February 28th. And so, of course, Iran struck back. And so we have just put everything out there for Israel and forgot about the good old US of A.
And the people that are elected representatives are supposed to represent. I mean, hence that term, elected representatives. And I think the overall vibe, at least that I'm picking up, I'm sure both of you see this, is that the American people today who voted for Trump, so much of MAGA feels completely betrayed, absolutely fed up, actually fed up with politics. I have seen so many people say, I can't vote Democrat, I can't vote Republican, I'm just not going to participate at all. And then, Tucker Carlson seems to be leaning in the direction of a possible third-party apparatus. I'm not sure what the reception is going to be among people, but I'm curious about your thoughts on this whole movement of people. The American people do not feel represented at all. They feel completely shut out of their own country.
You're right, and the consequences are that we're in danger of losing our nation. We've never been in a situation where there was a greater danger to our republic. The founders warned very clearly, over and over, about beware of foreign entanglements. More recently, President Eisenhower, in his valedictory speech, beware of the military-industrial complex. President Kennedy, let us not forget, tried to extract the U.S. from a conflict in Southeast Asia, and also, declined to assent to Israel's desire to become a nuclear power. And the consequences we're familiar with, what happened to our President Kennedy. We are now in a dilemma where we've overreached as a nation. We are economically vulnerable. Our national security is vulnerable. Our sovereignty has been impaired. Our Congress has been usurped. It has been bought out in unfortunately, many ways. You walk the halls of Congress and you see Israeli flags outside of U.S. Congressional offices, or printed flags on the walls of congressional offices outside in the halls saying, I stand with Israel. Now, look, we're all familiar with what happened in World War II. It was horrific. The Holocaust must never be forgotten. That's why genocide against Palestinians or Lebanese cannot be accepted ever. And for whatever reason, and this is absolutely mind-blowing, Israel, which had the sympathy of the world at one point, has just, in the name of predatory and expansive Zionism, has just decided that they're going to ignore world opinion, ignore every moral law that exists, and just go ahead and kill people so they can claim some kind of connection with a biblical reading that some of their leaders have, that they have to kill the Amalekites, and that present-day Palestinians are those Amalekites. So they have to kill everything. They have to kill their children, kill their wives, destroy their homes, cut down their olive trees that are 300 to 1,000 years old. It is insane, and the world needs to respond. The United Nations needs to respond, notwithstanding the U.S. veto. There needs to be a really strong statement here against genocide, because Mike and Todd, this approach that's being used is coming home. It's coming home. How ICE treats people. Some of them some of the leaders have been trained in Israel. There's a different ethic out there right now in terms of human life.
Clearly.
And
We call it the Israelification of U.S. law enforcement. And you see it in the aggression, just the shooting of American citizens in the streets of Minneapolis, right?
And other places.
And
right.
other places. Right. And
so you look at this. How can you not be horrified? And at the same time, what do we do about it? I want to go back to the question that you posed about the potential for an independent movement in 2028. I think there's a real potential there. When you go back to the days of Ross Perot was raising economic questions about trade that turned out to be prophetic.
Yes.
Real run at Clinton and Gore. But then, his campaign, unfortunately for people wanting a choice, fell apart. But this is the first time since the days of Perot that there is an opening. And it's not only about economics. It's about freedom, liberty. It's about sovereignty. It's about endless wars. It's about our Constitution. Yeah, and is there a possibility of a coalition coming together to reclaim the country in a presidential contest? Absolutely.
Beautiful.
I see it. And it's being fueled right now by the very elements that we've been talking about. And so Tucker Carlson, who, I've known Tucker for many years, and he's been very important in using his platform to provide the American people with another view of what's really going on. And people are hungry for the truth. They know the truth when they hear it.
Yeah.
And they know the stuff they're being fed on some of the legacy media just doesn't meet the test of honesty.
Dennis and Todd, we'll go to you next. But Dennis, we had Tucker was a guest on our show here recently. He spoke very highly of you. And from years past, being, I think, traveling with you when during your congressional days and covering you in his early career. Anyway, he spoke very highly of you, and we all agreed that we appreciate you because of your principles, and that what's happening in this country is we can no longer, or we should never worship a man, a woman, a person. We have to honor principles, not individuals, because individuals can be turned, they can be compromised, they can be Epstein, they can be blackmailed, whatever. The principles are what matter, and principled people can lead us to that future. But go ahead, Todd.
Well, first of all, I want to go on record, and I'm dead serious. I think Netanyahu is the Amalekite. And I'm serious. I mean, just from a biblical interpretation, when you see his net output. But my question to you, Dennis, is what is Netanyahu's end game? If he's been at this, touting war for 3 decades, what's he want?
He wants to stay out of prison.
Okay.
He wants to stay out of jail. And he wants to hold his government together so that is possible. And he's got an election coming up in October, and he's not in good shape because his narrative is starting to unravel. Look, I've met Netanyahu several times.
Yeah.
He's very skillful. He's very smart, and he's a hustler. He's just, I mean,
Yeah.
he's a, we've all met street hustlers. He's a hustler on the world street. And he has had a lot of support in the United States to increase his prominence in Washington. And he's made book in order to gain power. He made book with the furthest right characters, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, and gave them ministerial positions where they could work out their cockamamie designs to commit genocide and to do it with a religious fervor. Yeah, he's trying to stay in office. And does he believe the things that he says? I doubt it. He's just a great liar.
Wow.
And he's able to speak to the American people with a delivery, a pronunciation, a tone that is very convincing to Americans.
Really, and you have to give him credit for that. I mean, I don't, I look at people forensically. I don't like what Netanyahu does, but could I sit down and talk to him? Absolutely. And if I was talking to him, I'd tell him, hey, the getting is good right now. Get out, because otherwise, if this thing goes south, you're going to end up in the dock at the World Court. Now people say, well, that'll never happen. Oh, let me tell you, there's something about the Ark of Justice. It's been discussed through decades that sooner or later it's going to catch up with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it will catch up with others who have promoted this genocide and this ethnic cleansing.
That's right.
I think, going back to Tucker Carlson, he has been so important in alerting Americans as to how we have journeyed so far from our basic values as a country, how we have journeyed from our constitutional principles, how we have journeyed from moral principles. Tucker has been very courageous in doing this, and I felt to have the chance to be on his show and to be on this show was so important to give people an opportunity to understand what's at stake here. I don't, Israel has unfortunately crossed a divide, which there is no coming back from. They have gone into genocide, and unfortunately, the U.S., many U.S. corporations have been participating in that with our tax dollars and with corporate investments. But there has to be some accountability here. So what kind of accountability do we need? I think that Israel's role as a nation has to be suspended, that they have to come up with a way to reconnect with the world community by admitting what they've done and by having a period of truth and reconciliation with the world community. They have to accept responsibility, because otherwise we have inverted the moral calculus of our times and made worse the bad.
I concur with exactly what you're saying, that the original UN Charter, I believe it was, for the existence of Israel was based on certain assumptions, none of which have held. One of those assumptions was that Palestine was empty and no one was already there, and that there weren't already families and farms and people and communities and churches and synagogues and everything else. And that was false. But it's very clear, I think, to those of us who are sober-minded that Israel's leadership has taken that country to a place where it does not deserve to be recognized as a member of the international community unless it can completely reform the way that it interacts with the international community. And I think we're saying the same thing or something similar. Go ahead.
Well, Mike, let me build on that a little bit, because it's not just the leaders. They have effectively propagandized the people of Israel so that they generally have massive support for killing Palestinians. This is so sad. It is just so tragic. My experience with Judaism is through a principle known as tikkun olam, the idea of healing the world, that we are here to heal the world, not destroy the world, not commit genocide, ethnic cleansing, but to actually heal the world. And I talk again about a moral inversion, that the way to redemption now and to ascension is murder. Wow. We go from thou shalt not kill to thou must kill.
That's crazy. It's satanic. I mean, it's completely upside down.
Yeah, it is. And there's no way to hold a society together or a world together for that matter.
That's right.
If we adopt this do unto others before they do unto you,
Right.
we have to reaffirm the basic values that have held civilization together. You know, it doesn't mean there's not going to be conflicts, but it does mean that you have to have some underlying agreement. I mean, the UN Charter itself was developed to end the scourge of war for all time.
Mm-hmm.
You go at the UN building and you see a gun with its barrel twisted so it can't fire. I mean, there's a reason why. And see, this idea of peace through strength, the articulated American administration's defense policy, is also an inversion. We need to see strength through peace, through diplomacy, through the science of human relations.
Right.
You know, we're not doomed to descending into this morass of forever war and even nuclear war. We're smart enough to avoid it. But that means we have to challenge those who are placing the resources of our country for destruction. We have to challenge that thinking. We have to challenge that ethic. We have to challenge it politically. We have to do it in every way that we can. And we have to we have to do some work on our own country about resolving our differences in a nonviolent way. There's a direct connection between the U.S. tax dollars being used to kill people abroad and the violence that happens in our own society.
So you're saying that Pete Hegseth is not an elder statesman?
Well, he's doing.
I mean, he's like a comic book character.
But what he's doing. He, as Secretary of War, he's acting out his belief that this is what you need to do to make America strong, and he's wrong. Period.
Yeah.
And
he's made us weak. He's made our military weaker. He's made our military look weaker. And he and Trump together have made our international reputation far less valuable, far less credible, and is actually chasing away our friends and encouraging our competitors to trade amongst themselves without using the dollar. I mean, these are my opinions, so I'm just ranting for a second here, but when I see Trump slapping tariffs on Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, Western Europe, I'm like, Trump, these are the friends, supposed to be our friends. Why are you punishing Taiwan? Why are you punishing Japan?
Why are you punishing the American people?
Absolutely.
Places. So, and you're right. And back to Hegseth. He came to that office with a certain tough guy ethic. But it's not just about being a tough guy.
Nope.
Right.
And you can juice the soldiers with testosterone and make them more aggressive, but
and that's a serious proposal. Roid raging the soldiers.
Yeah. So think about this.
Think about that, Todd. Roid rage soldiers. Yeah.
Why shouldn't we first be thinking about how precious those soldiers' lives are, and that we should never be sending them into battle for some other country?
Amen.
And we should never be sending him into battle without the Congress of the United States under Article 1, Section 8, taking
Yes.
direct responsibility or cutting off funds if necessary, if there's no, if the administration goes off on their own. The president chose people for his connected with the Defense Department, and in order to have control over the policies. But ultimately, the president of the United States is responsible. He's the one who made a campaign commitment saying we're going to end these forever wars. That's what he said. And a lot of people who followed him and are in the Make America Great Again movement have become very disappointed that he didn't keep that promise, because that promise was instrumental in getting him elected.
That's right.
You have to go back to September and October of 2024, when Joe Biden was rattling the cage with Russia and threatening to send more missiles through Ukraine to Russia. And it was really causing people concern that we were going to have a face-off with another nuclear power. Trump understood the moment. He told people, we're not doing these forever wars. And unfortunately, that's exactly where we are. And the regional war has spread. The idea of a stasis is only a matter of time before this war bubbles up someplace in the Middle East. If it's Saudi Arabia and Yemen, if it's the United States Navy or bases under attack to push us further out of the region, if it's Israel attacking Iran and Iran attacking Israel or U.S. assets, this thing has the potential still to spiral out of control, even worse than it is right now.
Hey, Dennis, I just want to make this part of the interview about me. I want to humble brag here, okay? People who've tuned in know that I have testified that I have not voted in the last 3 elections, except I wrote in Jesus Christ because I believe he's the only one who can fix this thing. But I have already voted. I am the first person to vote in 2028, and I have my ticket here to prove it. I think that the ticket needs to be the Tucker Carlson, Dennis Kucinich ticket, and it needs to be called the redemption ticket. And I have just voted. Right there's my checkbox. So there you go.
Well, that is a
Todd, thank you. And I just say, there's a lot of good people out there who are raising their voices and challenging this this condition. And I'm talking to 2 of them right now. We have to. There has to be a very broad coalition, and I think that that's taking shape. And certainly Tucker has really been a driving force in getting people to recognize that this is not the America that we signed up for.
No.
It's something like totally different. And he does it in a way that's intelligent and forthright and courageous. So, I appreciate what you said, and I would like to reflect back to Tucker's own courage on that. One of the things I'd like to do in the time that we have remaining, I just read an article in a National Law Review. I think it may have just come out, that talks about the how Israel's become more involved in investing in the United States defense technology, and that in this article, just to go over a few points, if I may, that in 2025, in the middle of this attack on Gaza and now the West Bank, Israel's so-called 35 index went to record levels. They had $59 billion in mergers and acquisitions and initial public offerings. And one of the big deals was a $32 billion deal that Google had with Wiz, which does cybersecurity. And there's a Palo Alto network that was a 25 billion dollars for an Israeli group called CyberArk. And you have now, there's 135 Israeli companies that are listed on the NASDAQ. Startups are raising billions, and a lot of them have to do with defense tech. And you have there are issues now before the Securities and Exchange Commission about having greater transparency that right now at this time. But we're right now seeing that 80% of as new companies that are being founded in the United States or incorporated in the United States, that Israel now has about 80% of the companies that are being created. They're sending into the U.S. So now, when you put that reality of their increased involvement in investing and co-investing with U.S. interests, you see why this Section 219 becomes ever more dangerous, because they'll basically have a free hand in being able to build out their defense sector with the help of United States taxpayers' dollars. And they'll be able to integrate data, all of the systems that exist right now in the United States with respect to high tech would become part of one organized defense Leviathan, if you could call it that. I'm getting a little bit deeper into the business end of what's going on, and you look at all the companies that are making money off of the genocide. This is another part of that moral equation, because this is about money. Make no mistake about it.
It's Dennis. I take to heart what you're saying, and I also want to plug your Substack page quickly here. It's called the Kucinich Report, and that is at kucinichreport.substack.com. There it is, and that's for those who don't know how to spell your name, it's Kucinich.
Took me years to know how to spell it.
Well, but people appreciate everything that you're doing here on all these fronts. But what you just said is so critical. And you might accuse me of being a little black-pilled on this, but I have said, and I'm sticking with it, that what Israel did to Gaza is a pilot program for what the military-industrial techno complex will one day do to humanity, to all of humanity, if they get the chance, if we let it go that far. And that's what, yeah.
Mike, yes.
Yeah. We are, all of us, well, let me say this, none of us are safe in a world where we tolerate Israel's genocide against anyone, because that is being used to develop the algorithms, the autonomous kill systems that can be turned against anyone else. And we already have, flock cameras all over this country. What do you think comes next? Kill bots for Americans, autonomous hunter killers on our own streets, just like ICE, but now robot ICE shooting Americans on the streets of our own country. That's not science fiction.
Well, we already have laws that have been passed that would prosecute people for criticizing Israel.
I know.
College campuses have been quieted by threats of suspension, expulsion, college presidents being cashiered because they permitted the exercise of free speech on their campuses. I have here a list. I just pulled this up off the internet. It's worth checking. These are companies that are incorporated in the U.S. They operate as U.S. defense contractors, but they're fully owned by parents in Israel. The Elbit Systems of America, major defense contractor in Fort Worth, Texas, and Roanoke, Virginia. The IAI North America, headquartered in Virginia, acts as the U.S. arm for Israel. Aerospace Industries manages hundreds of millions in annual U.S. aerospace and satellite businesses, Rafael USA, based in Bethesda. It manages the U.S. operations for state-owned Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, and partners with major U.S. firms like RTX Corp to manufacture parts for missile defense programs. And then you have U.S. listed companies with Israeli executive leadership, including Ondas Holdings. It's a big one. This is a U.S.-based autonomous systems and drone defense holding company that's heavily integrated with Israeli leadership in its top ranks. And get this, just recently, this Ondas Holdings appointed the head of Mossad, David Barnea, to be its global CEO. So,
Wow.
this is just, the beginning of a discussion here of how this web, keeps on getting connected, and what this Section 219 ends up being about is it opens up the floodgates. These groups are already in line for defense contracts, and so they keep growing. They grow Israel's economy at the expense of the United States and forever wars. So we have to follow the money. We have to look at the corporate connections. We have to look at who's making the money. We have to insist on transparency. We have to raise the issue about foreign private issuer status, because there's a lot of these companies that start in Israel, and because they're home countries in Israel, they do business in the U.S., and they're not necessarily that transparent.
Of course
we don't
not.
understand what they're doing. So I just wanted to add that to this discussion.
Well, thank you for mentioning that, Dennis. And people need to be alert. So if they have an investment portfolio, they know to avoid financially supporting companies that are engaged in weapons used against humanity. But I want to pivot for one segment here, and just being respectful of your time, Dennis. But there are economic consequences to this war that were clearly not well considered by the Trump administration. I don't think any of them. I mean, I understand Scott Bessent is bright, but I don't think that Lutnick or Hegseth or Trump and others actually considered the supply chain ramifications. Now, this show is about decentralized living, so we encourage people, grow your own food, do home gardening. You're going to need fertilizer. Oh, guess what? Fertilizer's running out. Oh, you're going to need, diesel fuel, let's say, to power a small tractor on your hobby farm. Oh, guess what? Now we're in a diesel crisis. Even according to the CEO of Shell Oil, warning about what's coming with diesel and gasoline. Polyethylene shortages, helium shortages, sulfuric acid used for phosphate extraction from phosphate ore for those fertilizers, and many, many other things. In essence, Trump's war, clearly fought on behalf of Israel, has now created a supply chain shock that makes it much more difficult for any American to live in a more self-sufficient manner. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, I not only agree with it, but the political consequences of this. See, Trump needed to get out of this war in April at the latest, because now these supply chain disruptions that you've spoken of, Mike, the impact of it at this point will extend right up until the circumference of the election. It goes right into the election. Republicans know this. They're going to pay a price at the polls for these policies that are having a ruinous economic effect on the United States. Now, Israel has already paid a price. I mean, there hasn't been much publicity about the missile attacks by Iran and the counterstrikes that go into Israel, but Israel's already paid a price, and they keep that, on the QT as far as public information. but the Israel economy is not, is not in the same position as jeopardized. However, there's other crises that are coming up as a result of this. U.S. attacks Iran's water infrastructure. Iran is threatening to blow up desalination plants. We're looking at the potential of a larger breakdown here. You described the immediate impact on Americans, but the more that you disrupt the supply chains are global now. We live in a world. This is why war is so stupid.
Right.
We live in a world that is interconnected and interdependent. And we're, I can use this cell phone and call somebody in 10,000 miles away and get a hold of them like that. We travel anywhere we want up until February 28th, maybe. And we have a lot of mobility in this world. That's going to change with this approach that's being used. People's standard of living, as you have portended there, Mike, will change. It will decline. The standard of living in the United States will decline if we continue to pursue this forever war. This raises questions. I had a discussion the other day about the bond market, how some of our trading partners are already in trouble, how we're trying to bail people out. Japan, for example, with selling euros, crazy arbitrage situation. We are
Buy more yen. That will save our treasuries. Yeah.
Well, see, China, what China did, well, the U.S. was spending upwards of $6 trillion in forever wars over the last few decades. China invested its money in other countries. Now, hey, I'm not for the Chinese social credit system and its tight-fisted control over people's rights, but they've steered a course that was about economic growth, and the U.S. steered a course towards destruction. A million innocent Iraqis killed in the war against Iraq. This, we keep on pretending that we live in a unipolar world. The world's changed. We have to recognize that we're no longer a nation above all the other nations.
And China, if I could add, China's also showing the success of planning rationally. I mean, China's now building its own UV lithography systems, making ASML obsolete. China's power grid turns out more than twice the annual aggregate terawatt hours than the United States power grid. China's GDP is larger. China's industrial output is larger. China's number of graduating scientists and engineers is 4 or 5 times larger than the United States. I mean, it just goes on and on. Robotics, drones, advanced materials, rare earths extraction, innovation. China, I agree with you. I'm not endorsing the whole government of China, but I'm saying China today reminds me of what the United States was like in the 1950s. It was like young, hungry, innovative, hardworking people who were really smart. Like that was the 1950s or the 1960s in America, or even the 70s, you could argue. Slide rulers, it was like people could do math in their heads. Today, oh my God, it's a pale shadow of what it was.
When we think about the America that we want, and that's one of the things Tucker's doing right now. He's put out a manifesto. What kind of a country do we want? We need to have that discussion right now.
Yes.
We need to have a discussion where the American people come together in town halls around the country. This is the country we want. And I think you'll find when you have those discussions, people will go back to their practical aspirations, where the self-sufficiency that you talk about can only be obtained if we use the resources that we have as a country to rebuild America again, not just economically, but constitutionally.
Mm-hmm.
The right of free speech, the right to be secure from unreasonable search and seizures, the 14th Amendment rights. I mean, so many of them are being chipped away. And this is a great time for Americans to start coming together, not only at the polling place in November, which they will, but, and this is no longer just about Democrats and Republicans, because unfortunately the differences have been so blurred between the two parties, especially on foreign policy, that I think that what we need to go back to the American people, we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. And that's part of in our 250th year here, this process of renewal and Todd redemption is a process that we need to re-engage in and re-excite and know that even at this rather perilous time, we still have within our hands the ability to reshape the future of this country. It's not lost, but it's only if we recognize that we're in a dangerous situation of wars that could spin out of control. Not only wars in the Middle East, but the Ukraine-Russia war, which is being boosted by some European elements and backdoored by some U.S. intelligence assets. We need to really come to an understanding of the primacy of peace in our own lives so that we can recreate the founder's vision of a country that really has the ability to adapt to an undreamed of future, and one that could meet the practical aspirations of people just for decent lives and a roof over their head and be able to meet their healthcare expenses and put food on the table for their kids, send their kids to decent schools. These are aspirations I grew up with. And I think that those of us who are part of our generation, we know what's been lost, but we can retrieve it. There was a poet by the name of Tennyson, and he wrote, "Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world." And we need to seek a newer America. And in that way, we can make a great contribution to a better world.
Wow, such a radical vision. It's funny. It's your old warnings keep turning into current events. Is kind of what I've noticed over the years. Dennis, I can't let this question go just because you were part of Congress for 16 years, I believe. But Congress has three branches now: fundraising, grandstanding, and passing things they haven't read. Dennis, after serving for 16 years in Congress, is the institution primarily dysfunctional, or is it functioning exactly as the permanent bureaucracy lobbyists and major donors intend it to?
Well, there's no question that Buckley versus Vallejo and Citizens United, which created a condition where corporations could put unlimited amounts of money into a campaign, changed the political terrain. Both political parties chase money after the same sources. And that has real impact on the process. I think that people who run for Congress, or whether it's the House or Senate, I think many of them start off with the right motivation. You don't run for an office unless you have some love of country. But what happens when you get inside, there's this system that kind of embraces you and says, well, this is what you have to do. And people lose their independence of thought. They lose their agency, really, by becoming part of a system. And the system isn't working. And that's we all know that. And so the members of Congress, some of whom are pretty decent people, many of whom are decent people, are very few of them have the ability to break through. Thomas Massey is, one of the examples of somebody who is a truth teller, and he challenged the establishment. They went after them. They may have defeated him in a congressional race, but they made him into a national figure who people are paying close attention to what he says. I think, Congress can work, but we're going to have to change campaign finance laws. There's just no two ways about it, because if people can essentially turn a congressional race into an auction where it goes to the highest bidder, the fact that $70 million could have been spent in the Michigan Senate race to try to knock out El Sayed. Whoa. It's like, it's just an auction, and you just need a more professional auctioneer. So you have to change that. And I think if you change the campaign finance approach, I think you're going to have an impact on having been able to rescue a government of the people and for the people and by the people. Right now with this campaign financing, it's so hard for candidates who stand up and challenge the status quo to remain in office. And
Absolutely.
you just have to recognize that. It's not impossible. I was pretty fortunate. I had a lot of support across the country. People would send, small contributions that added up and enabled me to stay in office for 16 years. And I'm always been grateful for that. But you know what most people have to do? They go to the party headquarters and they're given a book that's about this thick and they dial for dollars. And they spend more time doing that generally than they do legislative work or listening to debates or coming up with their own proposals. It's just they end up being like gerbils trapped into a rotating cage. It's sad.
That sounds about right.
That's kind of the way the system works. Can it change? Absolutely.
All right. Well, Dennis, in respect for your time, we're going to wrap this up. And I just want to thank you for taking the time and also your principled courage, your intellectual honesty, your honest assessment of what's happening in the world. It's greatly appreciated here. Our audience is wise enough and well-informed enough to value what you've offered us here today. So thank you for joining us.
Well, again, thank you. My wife and I read a column on Substack, Kucinich Report. And in this case, I shared with you some details, which will be in my next report, which should be out in a few days.
Oh, cool. Okay, great.
Right.
Well, I'll encourage people to check that out. Again, kucinichreport.substack.com.
However, yeah, and Substack. And
Yeah.
Todd, thank you.
Thank you. I am so excited for the redemption ticket.
Well, I am sure, Dennis, that you will have an important role to play at some level in the refounding of this nation or the reforming or whatever it ends up being. I think you're a very important person.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike and Todd. And we all have that capacity and that obligation. So thanks.
We'll play our part. We'll do the best we can. And we'll try to crack a few jokes along the way as well to, keep everybody entertained. But thank you, Dennis. It's always an honor. Have a great rest of your day and be well.
Thank you,
Thank
Dennis.
you. Thank
All
you.
right.
Take care.
All right. So everybody, there you go. Dennis Kucinich. What a great American hero there. And Todd and I will be right back after this short break with the after party discussion, which I'm sure will be very enthusiastic today. So stay with us. We'll be right back. If you'd like to help support us, check out all of the affiliate deals I put together for you at rangerdeals.com. And if you go there, you'll see I've done due diligence on all of these affiliates. There's really not that many, but we have partners like Battalion Metals, co-founded by Tucker Carlson, Nessa's Organic CBDA Hemp Extract, Above Phone models that are de-Googled phones, Red Life, here's the peptide company, Limitless, Petmectin, and so much more, including the satellite phone store, VP.net. And for almost all of these, you can use discount code RANGER here, or sometimes it's something else like Brighteon50, but normally the discount code is RANGER, which will save you something on these deals. Now, we do earn a little bit off of these affiliate deals, but it's no additional cost to you, and it helps support our platform and our work for humanity, including our AI projects that offer free open source knowledge in multiple languages. You can check those out at brightlearn.ai and brightanswers.ai. So thank you for supporting us. Check out rangerdeals.com anytime you want to save money on really high-end products and solutions that I personally endorse. I'm Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. Thanks for watching. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the after party. And Todd, well, hey, I got to say, the caliber of guests that we have on this show is just amazing.
It really is.
And Dennis is another example of that.
Oh, and I don't know if he is thinking about the redemption ticket being on it, but
I don't know.
I'm telling you, he would be fantastic, you know?
Yeah, well, I think so too. I mean, Tucker knows him. I don't know what Tucker's planning exactly, but well, let me back up for a second, okay? Because I have a slightly different take on this than Dennis. Dennis is more optimistic than I am, and that's one of the things I love about him, by the way. But I'm a little more black-pilled in the sense that I don't think this current trajectory makes it. And whereas you're talking about the redemption team, I think we need more like the reboot team. So I'm thinking of the reboot, like who is going to reboot this constitutional republic after the collapse of this current system, which is irredeemable.
I know.
What?
Foucault, of course.
Master Foucault?
Master Foucault.
Well, I hate to tell you, but Foucault is coming back with the new video rendering engine called Minimax H3.
Yeah.
This engine is so good. I was actually thinking of Master Foucault because now he can do so many more things with this engine that we can run locally. It's mind blowing.
Wow, that's amazing.
He'll be coming back, and so will Avatad.
Good.
By the way.
Oh, maybe Foucault and Avatad can run our own ticket, and there will be 3 branches on our ticket, Mike.
Yeah, 3 branches.
Control, Alt, Delete.
That sounds about right.
That's what we need to do for this country. On
a serious note, my point is that we've already proven that even if you elect someone, like you put RFK Jr. as the head of HHS, it doesn't change it. No. Because the bureaucracy is so massive and it has so much momentum and it's so corrupt, the FDA corruption, the big pharma infiltration, regulatory capture by corporations. It's so corrupt that even good people in top positions don't have enough power to really achieve the reforms that are necessary. Correct. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, I was thinking you'd mentioned fertilizer in the interview and the implications of that running out and everything. And it just got me thinking, Mike, this could all be orchestrated, and maybe it has been, the whole war, by Monsanto, because they just came out and announced a new BOGO on Roundup. That's you don't need fertilizer when you got Roundup. You just spray the crap out of all the weeds. Sorry, Mike, I had to go there.
No problem. But
down the rabbit hole.
Let me actually tell the audience here, because as a disclaimer and as a courtesy to Dennis Kucinich, if he posts this entire segment, he does not endorse what happens from here forward. I just want to be clear, because this is a segment of the show, we call it the after party, right? Todd and I usually go off the rails.
We do.
Because this is like our Friday. We actually film these on Thursdays.
Yes.
And
it is our Friday.
And it is our Friday, because then we don't do any more interviews on Friday. So this is like our Friday. So this is like we're letting our hair down. Not that we have long hair, but we used to. Like we could. You have a mullet wig, for example.
I can don the mullet anytime
put on the mullet.
I want to.
But I just want to say, Dennis Kucinich does not endorse what happens next.
That's right.
Right. These are our own twisted opinions. And lame attempts at humor. Okay.
Lame attempts at humor. We're really good at the lame attempts.
We're very good at that. Okay, but just try to keep it clean, though, Todd. I don't want to hear about ladybugs and stuff like that. Just keep it clean.
Worries.
Okay.
No gerbils.
Except in the context of home gardening. Okay, that's all.
Yes, that's right.
All right. With that said, back to my point, I'm more pessimistic than is Dennis, but I think we need a reboot team. Because I think we're going to default on the currency, frankly, or really the debt. I mean, Bessent is like desperately buying yen to make sure that Japan doesn't sell off their treasuries, which would cause our 10-year yields to go over 5%, which would be like financial Armageddon for the dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want them to reprice gold, Mike.
Well, your wish is going to come true. That's coming.
35,000.
Well, we don't know the
36,000.
number, but it's not going to be 4,000. It's going to be much higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
really
whoever has the gold has a future financially,
That's true.
like literally.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
And whoever's holding dollars is going to find out that history repeats itself with currency failures.
Yeah. Yep. You trillionaire, you.
Oh, yeah, I do. Look, what's on top here? $10 trillion, Todd.
My goodness.
I am a 10 trillionaire in Zimbabwe.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And I knew you back when you were only a trillionaire. Not a
Yeah, I know. When I had these other bills over here. But the thing is, this is real currency. Like this isn't play money. This is from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
and it has all these security features on it to make sure that no one else would counterfeit it other than the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe that did all the counterfeiting. You see,
Right.
and to make sure they have a monopoly on counterfeiting the currency.
Gold, one of the knocks is it doesn't pay interest, Mike.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't hold a press conference to explain why your life savings just disappeared.
Yeah, I don't expect gold to pay interest at all. I don't need it to.
No.
People say, well, it's not working for you. It's working because it's just holding its value. That's all I want it to do.
Exactly.
Working just fine.
Yeah.
People are like, no, you have to make your money earn money. And like, have you actually done the math of all your stock market investments from 1985 through today? You've gained almost nothing after inflation.
Right. So true.
Yeah. And then you pay the capital gains tax, and then groceries are 10 times more expensive or whatever. It's like you haven't gained anything in the stock market.
Nope. Well, as a matter of fact, you've likely lost
Probably.
a lot. 2008 happened. I remember. My 401k, 50%, boom.
Oh, yeah?
Just went down. Yeah, it took like a decade to get back to where it was at that point in time in 2008.
Yeah. Oh, don't forget the Nikkei crash in 1989, Japan.
Right. Exactly.
Took 29 years to recover. That's that's a long time.
It's a long time. It's a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember 2000, and this was before, we met and I got super focused on precious metals. I don't know why I did it. It's just that in 2008, when my portfolio went down by half and it got back to where it was in 2019, was kind of in the same place.
Oh, yeah?
And I thought, you know what? This is all cyclical. This is going to happen again. And so I actually withdrew the money, liquidated everything, and I had to pay the federal taxes on it. I live in Florida, so there wasn't state, but I also had to pay that 10% penalty, right?
Oh, wow.
But why did I do that? Because I wanted to put it all into precious metals.
Yeah.
So that turned out to be a really good decision, even after the tax liability.
Right. So you put it into metals in what year? 2019?
2019.
Oh my goodness. So you bought gold below 2,000 an ounce.
Yes.
Like 1850, 1900 an ounce, something?
Yep.
Wow. So that has already more than doubled, and it'll probably double again soon.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I would have kept it in this, here's the thing. My calculus was a little off though, because the stock market hasn't retraced like it did. And we're in 2026, but I still believe it's all cyclical. I mean, It's not if, it's when, right?
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, I don't own any stocks at all.
I know you don't.
I'm completely out of the stock market.
Yeah.
Because I just, to me, it's just a giant scam.
Mm-hmm.
It's rigged. It's all insider trading.
Yeah.
And it's hype. People just blindly pumping money into this, and stock valuations make no economic sense, especially in semiconductors right now.
Right.
It makes no sense at all. Like, you can't rationally, mathematically justify these current prices. No way.
No.
So I don't even bother.
Yeah, you invest in panels now.
Well, I mean, I buy infrastructure. Okay.
Yes,
So
you do.
I buy GPUs for AI inference and vibe coding.
Yep.
I mean, I buy workstations and computers. I'm actually about to make another purchase of some really good systems. I buy solar equipment, energy infrastructure, batteries for storing energy. To me, that's the smartest play right now. Like if you have, other than just stacking gold and silver, but if you have excess funds right now, or if you own stocks, I'm not your financial advisor, so that's the disclaimer, but I would sell your stocks and buy an off-grid solar system because the grid is not reliable. It certainly is becoming less and less reliable because of data center demand and so on.
Right.
And also just, eroding infrastructure in America. But, what's the value of having electricity? That's huge.
Yeah.
Versus just owning some, paper valuations of NVIDIA or something like that. That doesn't do anything for you.
No.
Doesn't make your freezer work again.
That's true. That's true. Speaking of solar and electric, my solar system kind of crapped the bed. Did I tell you? Right.
Well, that happened after that hurricane hit your roof. Right?
It did, and yes, in spirit of full disclosure, the roofers, they had their guys to come put the panels back on, so it wasn't the original installers. And ever since then, it's been off. And so, what was like a $25 electric bill started to go up like $100, $125 and such. And I've just kind of suffered through it. And then this last month, it was $550.
Oh man.
And so I called the solar people, and they did their analysis. Solar Edge is the company. They did their analysis, and they said, well, sir, you haven't been operational on half your system since October 9th, 2025.
What?
Like, shame on me for just thinking the $100. I was blaming it on the roofers,
So you have a bad connection problem somewhere.
Yes. And the inverter is shutting everything off on half the house. So I have a guy who's coming out.
Wow.
That is going to troubleshoot it and hopefully fix it. But man, it got me thinking if I would not have installed that system, because at one point in time it took it down to like $25 a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's a grid tie system, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yep. So, thoughts and prayers, people, for my solar panels.
Well, it may,
sucker working again.
Clearly, the storm caused more damage than you expected, but that's because I think you may have misgendered the storm. You called it a hurricane. It could have been a hizzacane.
A himicane?
A hizzacane or a himicane. Yeah, those are worse.
Yeah,
you
but
get the male energy, and then the Weather Service names them with female names. Like, hurricane, like Brenda or whatever, right?
But if it was a theyacane.
Well, what I'm saying is if it's a male, if it's a hizzacane and they gave it a female name, then it's a transgender hurricane.
Yes.
That's what destroyed your solar system.
It was really pissed off.
Could be, yeah.
The self-identification was just all wrong.
It was totally wrong. So it just ripped all your PV panels,
And it didn't like the food forest, the solar, didn't like decentralization.
Yeah, it ripped up your food forest too, huh?
Yeah, theacanes hate decentralized living. I think we called it.
There you go.
Dennis, if you've made it this far, this is why we gave the qualifier earlier. This is the after party.
Dennis Kucinich does not endorse anything that was said for the last 10 minutes. I just want to be clear.
It's clear.
He is not responsible for what happens here. Nor does he endorse it. Okay. But back to the topic here. Well,
yeah.
So, we were talking about gold and silver and funds, and here's something really cool I want to share with the audience. With your UNAs, which we want to talk about, because I don't think anybody should own any asset without talking to you about UNAs. I mean, seriously, a house, a car, land, a ranch, gold, silver, crypto. You need to talk to Todd. In fact, you want to give out the website real quick, Todd? We'll bring it up.
Sure. My575e.com. My575e.com.
Okay, that's it.
And if you go there, yep. And if you just scroll down a little bit and you see that little orange "Let's Go" right there, all you have to do is click on it and put in your name and email. And then that'll give you access to a 90-minute overview video of Dennis Gray. I interviewed him, and he is the subject matter expert on these UNAs. And we have a downloadable PDF that talks about the 32 positive attributes of operating a UNA. And if you scroll down a little further from there, if you just want to talk to me, and I don't understand, some people move forward with the UNAs, Mike, and like a custom UNA is 6,000, the already established is 5,500. But I offer, if you want to talk to me and really take a deep dive related to your operating reality, book a consultation with me, because it's $150. And guess what? If you move forward with the UNA, you deduct that from the investment. So why not? I always enjoy talking to people about this, and inevitably, I can help people make sense out of, the most common objection is, well, I haven't done it because I just felt it's too good to be true. And Mike, otherwise. We all have people in, that we know together who know otherwise. And I just invite people to get smarter about these.
Yeah. And also I want to mention, if anybody has trouble bringing up the site, just put www in front of it. Because like on one or a couple of my Linux systems, the site, you have to have www.my575e.com. And then it comes up.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's only with Linux.
I think it's only with Linux. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, let your guys know that they need to do like a little an alias of the subdomain or something. But that'll fix that.
Okay.
But what I want to mention, and I don't know how much you will allow me to say here, but I decided I wanted to understand this a little better at a higher level. Yeah. And I talked to some people that you help people connect with, who I am so impressed with and just completely blown away by structures that they are able to put together that offer extraordinary privacy protection, asset protection, liability protection, lawsuit protection. I mean, I've seen in years past, I've interviewed other experts, I've seen other structures. Nothing is as bulletproof as this.
Right.
It's a game changer. The way they've set it up. Yeah.
Yeah. The way they set it up and there is, the way I look at it is acquiring a UNA, just one, is way better than not having one.
Right.
And then you're going to figure everything else out. It is a journey. And what you've found, Mike, is that now you're at a different part of your journey to see how these can be turbocharged, the protection of them, right? The privacy of them. There are additional strategies that can be done that you investigated, and thank you for complimenting the two people I connected you with. They are extremely smart.
They are. So I'll say this for the show. I talked to them because I am attempting to see if it's possible to achieve a specific task.
Yeah.
That I have in mind. If I achieve that task, which they've laid out a plan for how to do that, then I'm going to share that publicly.
Perfect.
And we'll talk about it later. And I'll just kind of walk people through what I learned. Yeah. But I'm really blown away. I just want to encourage everybody, you have an obligation, I think there's a moral duty to legally reduce your liability, to protect your privacy, and even to, where possible, legally minimize your tax burden under existing law recognized by states and governments in order to stop funding a broken system.
Yeah.
That's sending bombs to commit genocide, I mean, Our country bombed school children in Iran.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when the parents and teachers came to try to rescue and dig those children, those girls out of the rubble, our military bombed them again to kill the parents and the teachers. That is abhorrent. We have a moral duty to minimize any way that government can extract money from us to fund those kinds of operations, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because how would God look at us?
Right.
If we didn't make an effort to stop as much as we could within our power, under the law, to stop the harm from being carried out in the world.
You know, Mike, I'm a God guy, and I do get on the mat every evening, and I sincerely pray for God's protection and provision, and the protection specifically. You know, every night I talk about, please protect, the UNAers, the DTVers, Mike Adams, my family, of course, et cetera. Right. But I really think that that was a great question. What would God think? Yeah. And I'm telling you, by keeping more of what you earn, I am 100% confident that you will be a better steward of those funds than, whoever's sending the dollars over for forever wars.
Right. Nobody is going to, just like you said, be a better steward or conduit for assets than you yourself, because
yes,
you know what your local community needs. You know how to best help the people around you, or you know what is the best, infrastructure that can help the most people. All kinds of things like that.
Yeah.
The federal government doesn't know how to spend your money better than you do.
No.
I mean, they're just going to waste it on, kickbacks and bribes and payoffs for, the military industrial complex.
Not that we have anything against bearded trannies and drag reading to our kindergartners at our local libraries, but, I think our funds could do better. That's just me though, Mike.
Well, it's funny you say that, but in contrast, like I know this is going to be controversial, but so what?
It's the after party.
I am not nearly as annoyed about like the rainbow crosswalks and the tampon dispensing machines in men's restrooms. To me now, in retrospect, based on the fact that Trump has us on the verge of nuclear war and the destruction of human economies and even maybe civilization and billions of people potentially, like I can handle the tampons in men's restrooms. It's like I just don't want world war, Right. Like in retrospect, tampon machine, so what? Rainbow crosswalks, I can live with that. What I can't live with is world nuclear war and radioactive fallout, Like we have to keep these things, we have to compare them
in perspective.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of gold, Mike, why don't you share with people how they can acquire some?
Oh yeah, well, that's a good point. I guess I should do that. Okay, so here's the deal, and the website is rangerdeals.com. I'm bringing it up here. Of course, we are affiliate partners with Battalion Metals, which is co-founded by Tucker Carlson. And if you go to Ranger Deals right there at Battalion Metals, there's a link there, and you can click on it. And if you use discount code RANGER, you will save, they'll waive the shipping insurance fee. And you'll be able to, save a little bit on physical gold and silver at really honest, competitive prices with amazing privacy protections and so on. I've worked with the Battalion Metals people, Chris Olson and crew, for 7 years now. High integrity people, full on Ron Paul supporters, pro-liberty, etc. And with Tucker Carlson on board, oh my goodness, right? It's a great combination. We also offer gold backs, and I've got some here. So these are the like the gold backs right here. There's physical gold in each one of these, and it was so cool because I had Mickey Willis here in studio the other day with his 15-year-old son, Azai. And Azai is a young filmmaker now. He's come out with his second film, which is pretty wild for a 15-year-old. Because, that's what happens when your dad is a really amazing filmmaker too. Anyway, so I gave Azai a bunch of gold.
Nice.
And I said, Azai, this is the most important lesson you're going to learn here is never hoard, always be a conduit. So you need to find like 20 people to give this to.
Nice.
You got to pass it on. Like you can keep a couple of them yourself, but you got to pass it on to somebody else. And that's what I do. I have a stack here. Actually,
that's great.
The stack is getting smaller because I keep giving it out. But I have a stack of gold bags. I just give them out when there's people here, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, you can get gold backs too, which actually has physical gold in the bills, and that's there on rangerdeals.com. And we've done the lab verification of the gold content. So physical gold in the bills is pretty cool. In addition, there's other affiliate deals there on rangerdeals.com for, Above Phone, which is the de-Googled phones that we have, and the satellite phone store there for the privacy protecting satellite phones. What's great about sat phones is they don't talk to the cell towers. Mm-hmm. So when you're driving around with a satellite phone, it's not checking in with the towers, man. There's no log of where you drove when you have a satellite phone.
Right. So you could have gone to Washington for January 6th, right? Not been geolocated because...
Yeah, right. Because that's what they did, they geolocated everybody with their phones, and then they went out and arrested like 1,500 people who were mostly just peaceful protesters. But anyway, the Supreme Court has now ruled that geofencing warrants are unconstitutional.
About time.
You know that? But where are the apologies to all those people who did time?
4 years, right? 4 years?
Huh?
How many years did they?
Well, some people were incarcerated for years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I interviewed some
right
on the show after they got out. And they were subjected to torture in U.S. jails or the U.S. prison system. Torture under the Biden administration.
Was there any financial remuneration for them?
Well, that's in the works. The lawyers are working on that. They are supposed to be eligible for up to $10,000 per day that they were incarcerated.
Good. I hope they get every penny.
I hope they get it all. The problem is they'll be paid in fiat currency. So it might be, how would you like $10 trillion? It's like, we'll pay you $10 trillion. And by the time they get the money, the dollar is going to be collapsed,
But what they can do is they can acquire a UNA, donate up to 60% of it, and lower their tax basis accordingly.
Well, they
buy
could
gold
if they knew about that.
That's right.
But the best thing would be to buy gold and stack gold or silver and let that value maintain itself over time as the dollar erodes. That's the best strategy.
That's the best strategy.
Okay, so anyway, we're going to wrap this up, Todd, but I want to say, I just want to tease the audience here. Things to look forward to. I'm going to bring a new Avatar AI video you made a mistake, Todd. You gave me your voice sample and like a really high-res picture of you in your studio. And I was actually thinking, I have this idea of a little comedy skit to do with your likeness.
Oh my gosh.
And hear me out. This is so funny.
Okay.
So have you ever heard an interview with somebody who, like, clearly they're doing it from their kitchen table because in the background, like their wife or husband is making dinner?
Yeah.
You've heard like the microwave and the dishes and everything?
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it'd be funny to do a segment with your digital avatar where we have like a mariachi band playing around you. And your avatar is like, what are you talking about? What mariachi band? And we're just doing an interview. And other distractions, like there's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's like, "Rah!" And your avatar is like, what? No, this is normal. This is like every day. What do you think about that?
Oh, that only you, Mike.
Or like there's aliens that show up and start like combing your hair,
Right.
Like we call that like grays for the grays, And then you'd be like, what aliens? What are you talking about? This is just the crew. This is just the home help. Anyway.
Have a realistic looking big papaya walk behind me.
Yeah, a giant
bananas.
Ambulatory papaya. That's a whole new species. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Mike? I anticipate I'll see it on Monday.
Well,
the way you work.
We'll have to see. I have to rewrite some code for this. Because this new model has a totally different way of taking in prompts.
Oh, really?
You have to be very, very specific with the prompts now.
Okay.
Like everything, the seconds, the music, the background, the cinematography style, everything. And it'll do it. But we could have Avatar claymation also. So do you like claymation, like Nick Park and Wallace and Gromit? Have you seen those before?
I have.
Yeah? Are you a fan of Wallace and Gromit?
Not really.
No, that's not your favorite thing?
No.
Oh, well, I find it hilarious because I have goats, and in Wallace and Gromit, they're always animating sheep. Oh. And the personalities of the sheep are very much like the goats. So I'm always laughing because I'm like, oh my God, that's totally accurate of what animals do. Anyway, maybe we should have a claymation avatar. Huh?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, you know how they do the AI babies that are telling each other jokes?
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Right.
You could have Fukov and Avatar rapping about some jokes that we could come up with. It would be kind of fun.
Okay. Yeah. We could try that. That'd be fun. But we could try different animation styles. But anyway, we're going to do something fun.
Yes.
And I'll also use my own likeness for some of these as well. We'll
perfect.
Yeah, I'll make fun of myself at the same time.
Deal.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. So I just want to encourage everybody to check out all of our other episodes at decentralize.tv. And we will continue to bring you more information that helps you stay informed and aware and more self-reliant because the world's going to shit.
In a handbasket.
Yeah. So you're going to need this information.
So we're here because the world's going to shit, folks.
Man, does anybody believe Trump's peace deal? Like, we're going to have peace in 48 hours, I'm like,
is it Tuesday?
Taco Tuesday?
Taco Tuesday?
Taco Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Well, but now Trump can taco on any day of the week, it turns out.
He can.
Yeah.
He can.
But I don't believe anything that comes out of the White House because it never holds water.
Nothing.
Yeah.
I think people are just getting, and this is not a good thing necessarily, but I just think people are just getting immune to it all.
They are. Numb.
Numb is the word.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't even care what the headlines say anymore. I mean, it used to be kind of interesting at the beginning of the war, right? Because you kind of took it a little bit seriously and stuff. But the Taco Tuesday thing and just all of his lies and everything, it's just like,
right.
I mean, when is Trump lying? When his lips are moving,
Yeah, he'll say we're really close to an agreement. The negotiations have been going well. And then a spokesperson from Iran is like, we're not even talking to you.
Yeah.
We're like, what are you talking about? There are no negotiations. We don't negotiate with you because you keep murdering our negotiators.
Yeah.
Why would we talk to you?
Right. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, I guess, but that does prove there is some usefulness to the voices in your head if you're the president, because you could say those are the negotiators.
Yes. Man, I thought Biden was losing it, I think Biden was very, very sane in comparison now. Biden
was less dangerous.
Right.
In his senescent state, shall we say.
Yes.
Whereas as Trump is awake enough to cause damage and ill-informed enough to make it hurt,
I just think Trump I think Trump really believes that he is going to be the superpower president of U.S. rail.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
somehow, some way, I think he sees that there is going to be a big golden statue of him in Palestine, you know, and declaring peace.
Okay.
I'm telling you, U.S. rail. That is
US
a
rail.
beautiful. It should be in our title.
I wouldn't be surprised if Congress votes to change the American flag to like the blue and white star, you know?
Right. Yeah.
They're practically running all those flags all over their congressional offices anyway.
That's crazy.
As Dennis pointed out.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's just mind-boggling.
It's crazy.
Oh, well, everybody, at least we're here for you.
Yeah. We'll do our best to keep you informed. Thank you all for watching today. And again, check out all the other episodes at decentralized.tv. Take care, everybody.
Cheers.